So what happens when a promising college student, just driving home to see his parents, simply disappears? We're going to dive into the story of Bryce Laspisa. It's a case that kicks off with a crashed car on a lonely road, but it ends with, well, over a decade of unanswered questions.
Okay, let's set the scene. It's August 30th, 2013. We're on a remote access road near Castaic Lake in Southern California. In the early morning quiet, something strange is discovered, and this discovery would launch a huge investigation that so far has led absolutely nowhere.
A 2003 Toyota Highlander is found flipped on its side at the bottom of a pretty steep embankment. So you've got the scene, right? But the main character is missing. Bryce Laspisa, the 19-year-old kid driving the car, has just vanished. It's a question that has baffled everyone for more than 10 years. And to even begin to get a handle on what might have happened, we really need to understand who Bryce was.
So yeah, who was Bryce Laspisa? Well, from everything we know, he was a popular, really promising young guy with a super bright future. But as you're about to see, the person his family and friends knew was about to change dramatically.
He was this creative student studying industrial design, and he had a great network of friends and a really loving family. He seemed to be on the perfect path, the kind of kid who seemed to have it all figured out. And that's what makes the sudden, totally alarming shift in his behavior right before he disappeared all the more baffling.
In the 48 hours before he just vanished into thin air, it's like something just snapped. Bryce's behavior became erratic, confusing, and honestly deeply concerning to everyone around him. And we're not just talking about a bad mood here. No, this was a complete departure from the person they all thought they knew.
I mean, just look at the contrast here. It's night and day. The social, focused student suddenly becomes withdrawn and totally unpredictable. He starts giving away his most valuable possessions. You can see why this wasn't just some teenage angst. This was a fundamental shift in who he was, and it, rightly set off some serious alarm bells for his friends and family.
And these weren't just random acts. He abruptly ends a serious relationship. He gives away things he loved, like his diamond earrings and his Xbox. You can see the pattern, right? It was a clear pattern of detachment. It worried his parents so much that they told him, look, you need to drive home right now so we can figure out what's going on.
So Bryce agreed. He said he'd drive the few hours from his college back to his parents' place in Laguna Niguel. But this journey, which should have been totally straightforward, would become the absolute centerpiece of this entire mystery.
Can you imagine getting this call from your kid? This was a huge red flag. Whatever he had to say, it couldn't be said over the phone. And that one ominous promise kicked off a really bizarre and confusing timeline that investigators are still trying to piece together today.
Okay, and this is where the story gets, well, just plain weird. A drive that should have taken, 3 hours? It stretches into more than 24. He runs out of gas literally hundreds of miles off course. And get this, even after his parents find him and give him gas, he just drives off in the wrong direction. That final phone call is just haunting. He sounds disoriented, and then we have that last camera sighting showing him heading directly towards the remote wilderness where his car was found.
So that confusing journey all ends here, back at the crash site. But instead of giving us any answers, the scene just throws more layers onto this puzzle. The scene itself was a total contradiction. The crash wasn't bad enough to suggest he was seriously hurt, but all of his most important stuff, his wallet, his phone, his laptop, was just left behind. And then there's a shattered rear window, which adds to the confusion. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, nothing. It's almost as if he just stepped out of the car and dissolved into the landscape.
In response, you'd expect a massive search, right? And they did. We're talking more than 100 law enforcement personnel and volunteers in one of the biggest searches that area has ever seen. They had dogs, helicopters, ground crews. They scoured that rugged terrain for weeks. And they found absolutely nothing. Not a footprint, not a piece of clothing, just nothing.
And this is why his behavior is so important. Without that context, this is just a car accident. But his actions in those few days before, that changes the entire investigation. It strongly suggests his own state of mind was the key factor here, turning a simple missing person case into this incredibly complex psychological puzzle.
So over the years, it's really boiled down to three main theories. Could it be foul play? Maybe, but there is zero evidence of anyone else at the scene. Did he stage it all to just disappear and start a new life? Perhaps, but then why leave your wallet and phone? The most persistent theory, really, points to a severe mental health crisis, that he wandered away from the car completely disoriented and was lost to the elements. The problem is, every single one of these theories leaves huge questions unanswered.
Bryce Laspisa's journey ended at the bottom of a ravine, but that's really where the mystery was just getting started. I think the key thing to take away from this is how, even in our hyper-connected world, a person can leave behind this trail of digital and physical clues that only lead to more questions. After all this time, what truly happened to Bryce Laspisa on that lonely road remains a haunting, unanswered question.